Well, we were very fortunate to be able to meet with some of the president's advisors on that day, or was planning on meeting with them as a Christian school leader, and you know, I appreciate so much their willingness to meet with us. But of course, we did not realize that things were going to happen the way they did. But as they did, I mean, there's always, just like everybody else in the nation, we did not know how far these attacks were going to go. We were going through security into the back door. That's when the guard came running towards us, shouting, "Run, run, flee the White House. We believe a plane's going to hit the White House. We believe a plane's going to hit the White House. Run, run." So we turned and went out the door and started up the street. Of course, at the time, nothing had happened. So, you know, you're looking up, you think, where's the plane? You know, no plane at this time. And he shouted, "It's not far enough. Run further, further." And so we moved further up the street, again, stopping a certain distance away, looking, thinking, you know, where's the plane? And at the time, we heard a crash of the Pentagon. You know, and the Pentagon got hit.
Okay. And you heard that, or
we heard a boom and way off in the distance, because you know, you could see the Pentagon from the White House.
Wow.
And we heard the crash of sorts, but it was we didn't know what we was hearing. You know, we heard something, and then we got in a position, and someone had said, because people jumped in their cars and tried to leave, and they couldn't leave. You know, traffic jammed up real quick, so there was nobody going anywhere. But they had radios on, and someone reported that there's a possible car bomb. Well, I don't know that it was a car bomb. It was the Pentagon.
Okay.
We just found that out in a few minutes, so we walked to a position where we could see the smoke of the Pentagon. Couldn't see what happened, but we could see the smoke of the Pentagon. And then on the radios, people were sitting in their cars and listening to news reports and the radio, and they were talking about the Pentagon. And then they began to report New York's crashes, you know.
Okay.
So you know, we heard, so you didn't know. You didn't know what was next. You didn't know if a car was going to blow up. You were standing beside it. You didn't know what was the next project, you know, that was going to take place. We just knew things were unfolding. And thanks to the Lord, you know, it stopped after 4 airplanes. But, you know, at the time, we didn't know that. We didn't have any way of knowing.
Right. So, yeah, we all have the hindsight now. But, and that group running from the White House, was it 20 people, 100? Was it a mass type?
Yeah, there was probably 50 to 80 people running from the White House.
Wow.
It was a mass. And then people were coming out of other areas
other buildings as well.
And you know, converging on their cars trying to leave. And,
when that was all snarled, you said that there was everybody just kind of stuck in a traffic jam, and you could hear the radios and that sort of thing. And I remember from well, I don't remember from the interview, but I did read the story again. People just were emotional out in the streets.
Very emotional. And the White House staff was very emotional. Yeah, and they came out, they got out of that White House as well. You know, the people who worked there, I'm sure there's a host of people who works in the White House. I don't have any idea knowing how many, but there's a lot of them. And we were just on one side. I mean, I'm sure they went out other sides because there's multiple exits on the White House.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
We were just on one side. So the ones that came out of this side were up the street with us. Of course, most of us were either gospel ministers or Christian educators. So we did what we know to do. We started having prayer meetings.
Exactly, and that's what I was going to get to next. Is, I mean, they kept saying go farther. No, not far enough. I think you mentioned D Street, which I don't know what that is relative to the White House, but what did somebody just say we should pray, or what happened? Because you told me President Bush got word of what you did. Where did you have this impromptu prayer meeting?
Well, some of the men said, well, we need to pray. This is what we need to do, is pray for our nation. And so we gathered, I don't remember who it was kind of a mutual thing, and as men of God and preachers, Baptist preachers, other denominations as well there, we just joined and joined arms and hands and had circles all up through the sidewalk of prayer with some of the staff that were in the White House. When you saw the people running from the Twin Towers, in my mind, when I saw people running from the White House, when I saw the smoke of the Pentagon, And on the news media, they put up that man's face, bin Laden's face. You equate the problems, the pain, the loss of life, the parents that now wouldn't have no children, because they lost their sons and daughters in the Twin Towers or in the Pentagon, or in the kids that would have no parents, and so forth. This guy is behind that. So when he gets his, you can't help, I don't care who you are, but feel some satisfaction. The biggest thing that impressed me with George W. Bush was his humility. He was, first of all, he said he appreciated our serving his staff, the people who were there, who were fearful on that day and in great trauma, and because of our faith and our belief system and our prayer life, they were ministered to, and he was grateful. The second thing that really impressed me is he was a very humble man. He wept with us over what had happened, the loss of life that had already taken place. But he also wept at what was going to have to take place. And he said to us, I don't want to go to war. I don't want our nation to be at war. I don't want one boy or girl that's in our military to die. But I know that if you knew what I know, you'd know we have no choice but to go to war.